Morning, sir. Before we start off, some small rules that you need to follow. After that, we'll talk about the subject and all. We have to see to it that we'll understand each of them in their own situation. So we would be coming up with several other examples also. So the earliest way of studying cultures was comparative, and whenever there is a comparison, there is a possibility of being ethnocentric. That's where I could understand how lucky we are being in India, because the way we recognize scheduled tribes, we talk about them, we recognize their rights, the tribals, etc. That is really incredible. Every country has got its own problems, own drawbacks, own gray areas, but it is all our, the way we can live with those disadvantages. That's what matters. Because I see people cribbing about what is not there in our lives, how bad Indian roads are, how bad Indian culture is. We will be talking about those cultural aspects also. Nevertheless, we will have to understand that how much ever developed a country is, a culture is, there are always certain pitfalls and manholes We will have to understand where we are really not good and try to take care of ourselves at that particular point of time. This is the name, Morris Ginsburg. Morris Ginsburg. Society is a collection of individuals united by certain relations or mode of behavior which mark them off तो क्लास में क्या करना है एवरी डे यू हैव टू गेट योर प्लानर ऐसा वाला प्लानर मिला होगा यू गॉट दिस प्लानर है ना इसको रखना है हमेशा बैग में डेली हम इसको बाहर भी निकालेंगे और यूज भी करते हैं योर सिलेबस बुकलेट दिस इज देयर बिकॉज यू हैव टू नो द सिलेबस फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल when people ask you what are you studying anthropology in anthropology you should know the syllabus learning by heart syllabus is very very important we would be on a daily basis writing in this planner in which class number, on which date, what are the topics you have covered and what is the homework that is given to you and what is the material that you will have to study. All this you will be writing in this particular book and this is going to be very very helpful for you at the time of revision. So initially government started to regulate forests in its own land, but over a period of time it started to regulate forests even in the private lands. And those private forests also came under the government's purview. So nothing was left for the free utility by the people in the interest of the nation. And when various other examinations also he did, women, democracy and kind of things. So a combination of ethic and emic ideas was brought by him that was an unquestionably accepted school of thought now. Exogamy is the culture rule that ordains the members to marry from outside their own culture specific rule. So if it is clan exogamy, you are not supposed to marry from within the clan. If it is lineage exogamy, you are not supposed to marry from within your own lineage. There can be village exogamy, you are not supposed to marry from within your village. But just imagine, you in that position and your children doing that. That would start hurting you. When you have done this, your children will automatically do that to you. It is bound to happen. So see to it that you behave in a manner that that is appreciable for your own selves. So there are certain traditions, behavioral norms, who is earning, how you are consuming, the pattern of eating, all this stuff when we are talking about. All these are parts of social structure, individuals and relations between them. General social structure seems to be common across the generations. But when you go to identify at any point of time, so it shows that on the one hand we say that religion and kind of things are becoming insignificant. On the other hand, they are becoming the most significant things. But if at all you see here, this is the brain case, है ना? ये है आपका face. Both are competing with each other, है ना? जितना face है उतना brain case है. And then when you are walking, your face is walking first. Your face is walking first, your brain is following you. For Wilbert Murray, stratification is not always oppressive and ethnocentric. Stratification always gives you an opportunity to move up the ladder. If nobody is there above you, you will not have the motivation to work further. So whenever there is a hierarchy, whenever there is a stratification, you try to move up. So he is talking about functional side of stratification. And when it comes to Gandhian understanding of caste, this is what I was saying, we still did not start to talk about caste. Nevertheless, with the kind of knowledge that you must have had from Gandhian way of understanding caste vis-a-vis that of Ambedkar kind of things. So your nose especially looks a very beautiful organ. Here you see that eyes are located in such a way that there is a binocular vision. And this vault, especially the forehead that you have, this makes it possible for you to have the most of the brain sitting above your face. This is one site, Cultural Evolution Society. Okay, Cultural Evolution Society. From there, they generally pick up one odd topic. What Malinowski said was, it is not sufficient that you spend one visit in the sense that maybe a few months or a couple of years. It is not sufficient. In order to know whether the culture has been changing, modifying, you will have to employ a restudy method. After a specific period of time, you will have to go back to see how things have been modified. Pick up a rough sheet, try to recall all the names of the thinkers so far we have done from the first class. Try to recall all the names of the thinkers. we will in our classes also observe what will happen if centuries old tradition is challenged by people. Somebody who is there down below, who was not the one who should be looked at, who should be touched. Touching is a very foremost thing. Who should not be looked at, who should not be smelt, who should not be touched. Such kind of people, all of a sudden, they are up with their arms saying that we are not going to do this anymore. And then maybe perhaps we take a pen and paper, we would start going to the school. The people sitting above will not easily agree. It is not really possible. It actually requires a couple of generations of effort. That's the reason why first generation people, they are really remarkable. If at all your parents have come from that kind of a first generation, you should be really, really thankful for those generations. Name of the theory, proponent. When we say source, we mean the literature from where we are actually taking that information. Then who supported, who opposed. He is picking up definitions from there. You remember? If you remember looking into each of the definitions, the one that I have given in the booklet, definition diya, fir exceptions there. Which are the positive things, which are the negative things, or maybe drawbacks. So I have categorized there, traditional definition and modern definitions. Traditional definition mein ek utha rahe, Westermark is there, and then what are covered, what are not covered. The other definitions, Seligman, kind of. Some modern definitions are there, Stephen, and what are the exceptions rather. We have in the earlier classes said two things. One is karma is nothing but what you are doing right now, and result of what you have done earlier is also called karma. And what you are reaping in this janma is a combination. This is what Bhishma says. What you are reaping in this janma is a combination of fate and karma. Fate is nothing but what the divinity has laid out for you. What the divinity wants to give you, award you or punish you, whatsoever. The divinity is doing is fate, karma is your doing. So your life is a combination of what the divinity is doing to you and what you are doing to yourself. Basically, when it comes to physical anthropology, in the scope of it, new physical anthropology and old physical anthropology, so many branches and sub-branches we have seen. Now, our focus in today's class is epidemiology in the combination of anthropology.
See, this kind of a question, for example, epidemiology versus anthropology or epidemiology versus epidemiological anthropology has not come so far in the exam.
So Brahmanical origin theory, what Abbe Dubois said was that Brahmins, after attaining political power, have made it possible to create a rule book and created castes. Now, if at all I accept what she had said, so there are certain keywords there. Dominant caste offers a model for emulation to the low caste. Emulation meaning what you have to copy in order to reach my stage. And in the process what you are doing, you are copying several things that may be rituals, that may be behavior, ways of life. So that is the primary function that a dominant caste is doing. It is sitting at the top. See, you have to understand that every concept, every socio-cultural institution that we are dealing with, there are both positive and negative sides. Right now I am trying to focus more on the positive sides of it. There are people who also look at from the negative side. The dominant castes have been exploitative. Dominant castes tried to see to it that the lower castes are there at their own level. They are hampering the upward mobility of the lower castes. All that is fine. But there is a positive side also. That's the reason why look at the first statement that you have written in the notes. Suddenly the low caste, because numbers are more in the low caste, they became important for the upper caste. The upper caste, political contenders who never looked at you, who never entered your colony, who never touched you, who never wanted to be touched by you, they started hugging your children and hugging your parents. There is something called the Neo-Buddhist movement that we would be coming across, where Mahars are the subject matter. So Mahars are studied, one from the perspective of Christianization. So Zilliot focused on Christianization. There is the other study under the title Neo-Buddhist movement by a lady called, don't forget this case study, this is a very highly expected question, Neo-Buddhist movement. So it shows that on the one hand we say that religion and kind of things are becoming insignificant. On the other hand, they are becoming the most significant things. The concept has an underlying theme of pilgrimages and the role played by them. So what kind of a role you will have to talk about? Maybe the imitative role by the visitors. Sacred geography, under which LP Vidyarthi brings together the secular and sacred aspects of the population. You remember we have given some small picture there. We said that at one point of time this was the sacred entity. Over a period of time, sacred entity goes on reducing because secular ones go on increasing with time. So in terms of importance, the sacred seems to be losing its strength. And whenever you need, you go attack and capture the resources and go back. That's where early attacks from the Arabian population on India. And slowly things start to change. then you think that no, we should not loot. Maybe perhaps we rule. In the process of ruling, other things can naturally happen, kind of. I repeat, it's a ethnic group, geographically isolated or semi-isolated territorial group having distinct social, economic and cultural traditions and practices. Write the other definitions. Definition by when Weiser was writing, Gould was writing in the initial times, they were looking at this. So whenever you come across those particular things in the videos, you try to make a note of them and see the transition. So some of them were shifted to agriculture, agricultural laborers to begin with, from something like nomadic living to a sedentary living kind of. Even if they were temporary nomads, like they were shifted to a permanent sedentary living. That's a major change one would find in one's own life. You were otherwise did not have much of belongings, you are free to move around, but then suddenly you have to stay at one place in one particular geographical region, restricting your area of operation and changing your economic subsistence. And apart from that, the video also demonstrates to you how culture contact has impacted each aspect of them, whether it is the way they dress up, what they eat, and how they are earning their money. At one point of time they did not know what modern money was there, and then they had access to modern money. Now money lenders have come, modern commodities have come, whether it is necessary or not. All this as a story you remember about them, and also remember which are the organizations, who is the individual who is doing this research. Ye ho gaya. You have to like your own answer writing, I mean your own notes. Pata nahi. I am only randomly trying to. I always say this, that you should not end up photocopying your friend's notes at the end of the course. Your notes should be loved by you, utilized by you and your family in the future. बाद में आपके बच्चे भी लिखेंगे, मतलब आपके brothers, sisters will also be writing. And what I see is that not much of a difference in what he is taking as a running note and as a dictation. That is something you will have to maintain. ये तो होता ही है, मतलब जिस तरह से एग्जाम पेपर्स हम इवैल्यूएट करते हैं, स्टार्टिंग वन पेज बहुत अच्छा लगता है, ट्रेलर इज वेरी गुड, but as we are going inside, by the time we go to the last page, एक line ऊपर जाएगा, एक नीचे जाएगा, all left, right and center, but we do understand. See, the problem that we are finding in the contemporary pattern of UPSC is, previously this booklet system was not there. So the best of answer you would write first, and you are trying to impress the examiner by writing the best of answer first. Now that possibility is not there. वही sequence में लिखना है. First 1-2 questions में कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया. So in the back of your mind it is going on that examiner is always looking at you from the negative side. That problem is there. when you see closely, you would find these shapes coming up, the shapes of skulls basically. Can you notice how beautiful the skulls are? I really love this one. It is not a single pot or two pots, but multiple pots. This was one of the layers which we find on the wall created by H.D. Sankalia in Deccan College. You must visit Deccan College for these kind of amusing things. Don't curse me after that, because things are in a dilapidated way. This one, see, कैसे बिठाए होंगे अंदर? From top to bottom. यहाँ से hands they started becoming shorter, shorter, much shorter, longer. This is also shorter. Possibly in terms of volume that is small, but maybe perhaps he is a much brainier individual. Environmental determinism versus cultural ecology. So I'll just give a brief idea about this. As you know, both of them were the ones that were dealt somewhere or the other by Julian Stewart. When it comes to environmental determinism, this was a concept that he had proposed, giving an advancement over geographical determinism. So, when geography plus various other elements put together, this he calls environmental determinism. That is where we had discussed about something like, environmental screen. Natality and mortality. Natality and mortality. One of the very important areas of study in demographic anthropology. See, always remember, whenever you are getting such kind of questions, your answer must definitely focus on why that particular topic is being studied in anthropology and in which part of the discipline you actually study that topic. Say for example, natality and mortality is an indication of the health of the community and also, of course, directly speaking, lifespan of the community. It is also an indication to study what are the socio-cultural factors that may be leading to, and of course not to limit, environmental factors that are responsible for those levels of natality and mortality. All this has to come in your importance related one.